Hey guys, what is going on? So in today's video I'm going to be showing you my recommended budget-friendly fishing setup to get you started in fishing. So one of the most requested videos is, can I recommend a setup that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to go out fishing? Maybe you have a few kids in the house that want to get into the fishing that have been watching the videos, and you don't want to go off and spend 200 or 300 euros for a setup each for them. Or even if it's for yourself, maybe you're new to the fishing and you want to see if you like fishing, but before you go off and spend a lot of money, this is definitely the setup to go for. So Wild Hunter are after getting in these new rods and reels from Mikado. They're really high quality blanks as well. Really nice skeleton design on the handles. The reels themselves are absolutely fine to get started with the fishing. They come spooled with braid, so it's all done with for you. Now I'm going to show you in this video how to set up the rods. I know I skip it in some of the videos, but I'm going to show you from scratch how to set up the rod, how to put the rod on the reel on the rod, how to tie on the lure, and then I'm going to go off for an hour or two. I'm going to show you catching some fish on this rod. And now the special part of this video is, lads, in Wild Hunter these rods are only 36 euros, which is just ridiculous for a rod of this quality. 36 euros. So if you have 2 or 3 kids and they're looking to get set ups, you're going to get set up for, you know, less than 100 euros, maybe just over 100 euros, depending on how many of you there is. It's absolutely no-brainer. Some of the rods that you're buying for trout, you know, they can retail at about 150 euros just for the rod. This rod is only 36 euros. So that's what I'd recommend to someone who's thinking about getting into fishing. They don't know if they're going to like it or not. Don't go off and spend half your wages on a setup. Buy something like this first, see if you enjoy it. It's the way to go, really. So let's have a quick look at the rod here. So like I said, wildhunter.ie, the lads up in Athlone there, really good shop here in Ireland, have got these rods in at a really good price. So we're going to show you them in action. Let's take it out of this case. It comes with that little sock for the rod. I usually leave that in the bag when I'm fishing. Leave that to the side there for a minute. So that's the rod itself. Now something that really caught my eye with this is it's got that cool skeleton handle. You've seen it on some of the rods that I'm using, some of the rods that cost 200 or 300 euros. This rod comes with it, it's only 30 euros, it's mad. So the rod itself is there. It's got a kind of a carbon fibre blank. It's got the nice eyes. It'll be perfect for this sort of fishing, lads. It's super light. It's the perfect length. As you can see there in the background, we're fishing on the rivers. It's a 2-piece rod. That's it there now. Give you a quick look at it. Really nice. For the price, lads, it's just an absolute no-brainer. Compare these to the Mitchell or Shakespeare combo sets that some people are selling. Like I used the Mitchell rod years ago when I was a young lad, and they're fine, but they're way too soft and floppy. You just don't get much of a fight out of the fish. This is a fast action rod. It's ultra light. If you really want to enjoy your fishing, go for this one. So yeah, this is the reel, the Mikado Sensual NG reel. This is the smallest size that I picked up to go with this rod. It's a 2004 FD forward drag model. I'll take it out of the packet there now. I'm going to show you from scratch, lads, how to set up these setups. Because I know a lot of people are new to it and they haven't got a clue what they're doing. So this will be a guide on how to get started. So the reel itself comes like that. It's a small size of a reel to go with a ultralight rod. You don't want a reel too heavy to unbalance the rod. And it comes spooled with braid, or not braid, with mono. So spinning for trout in the river, mono is a good line to use. You know, you can't go wrong. It's spooled with mono. I'd say it's about 6 to 8 pound mono. Don't think it says it on it, but just feeling it, yeah, it feels about 6 pound line. It's perfect here for spinning on the river. Got a little tag on it from Mikado. Now the reel itself, lads, I think the reel is only like 35 euro as well. So it's crazy, you know. You could go off and spend 200 euro on the reel if you're fishing there every day. But if you're someone who wants to get into fishing and see if you like it or not, go for something like this. You know, don't spend an absolute arm and a leg before you even know if you like it. So let's get the reel onto the rod here. You just pull back the reel seat like this, and that reel will sit perfectly into it. You just tighten it back up. You want it nice and tight because you don't want the reel to go into the water while you're fishing. You don't need to over tighten it either. So there's the rod and reel together. Stand back a little bit. Perfect size, lads, for fishing on rivers. You could use it out in the lake, fish for perch, you know. I'm sure it'll handle a small pike as well. So for the price of it, the rod is only 36 euros, the reel is like 33 euros or 34 euros, and it comes spooled with braid, or with mono. It's the way to go. I'll leave a link in the description, or you can just call into the shop in Wild Hunter and they'll have a few of these in stock. I know I put up a TikTok yesterday and a few of them sold, but they're getting way more into stock next week, so they'll be there for you if you want to get set up. So let's get things organized here. I'm going to show you how to set up. So as always, guys, if you're getting set up on a river and say there's tags and stuff with your stuff, put it back into the box, bring it home with you. Don't leave it on the riverbed for someone else to clean up. Clean as you go. I hate finding rubbish in the rivers, it just drives me mad. You don't want to be picking up someone else's rubbish. You don't want to kill a fish or anything like that. So there is all plastic off the rod. It looks really, really nice. For that price, I'm actually excited to get to fish with it. That's how cool it is. Yeah, so let's get set up. I'm gonna get my swivels together and show you how to set this up. Right, so here you have your reel. At the back of it, this is for controlling the handle. Usually you leave that set so it doesn't reel backwards when you're spinning. You don't want the reel to be going backwards when you're spinning. It's more so for feeder fishing. So I leave that locked into place. The top part, that's for the drag of the reel. So if you get a fish, you want the fish to be able to pull a little bit of line so you don't break your line. I usually leave that kind of half done when I'm fishing for trout, so you'll be able to pull off a bit of line and you don't pull the heads off them. It's as simple as that. So let's get the line. The line is on a clip here, which keeps it in place when you're not using it. So when you're finished fishing, you just put it back into that clip and nothing gets messed up in your car or while you're transporting the rod. So you have your light line here. It's actually light line. I'd say it's more like 5-pound line. So I'm going to show you here, lads. We're going to pass it up through the guides of the rod. Excuse me for a second out. This is going to be a longer video today. I'm going to show you how to do things from scratch if you want to get out fishing for the first time. So there's 2 eyes done, 3 eyes done, 4 eyes done, 5 eyes done. These eyes are tiny. Give me a second. 6 eyes done. 7 eyes done. My eyesight is not as good as it used to be. 8 eyes done. Right, so that's the line passed through the eyes. These are the eyes in the rod, if you're wondering what I'm saying. You always have to pass your line through the eyes of the rod. I'm holding the line here now in my hand. That's it, set. Yeah, lovely little action on the rod, lovely little bend. So what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to be spinning for trout. So I'm going to show you what I do when I'm setting up my little leader and how to tie the knots, and I'll tell you what the knots are. If you want to go look them up on YouTube, you can. So let's do this quickly. Right, so the first thing I pick up here is a small swivel. So we're going to be using a spinner to start this video. Now what the spinner or the swivel does when you're using spinners is it helps your lure to spin better, and when you're using a line like mono, you don't want to be getting a thing that we call line twist, because it'll ruin your whole spool of line. So I'm actually using a swivel that is absolutely tiny. You can't even see it there. You don't need a big massive swivel when you're fishing for trout. You just need something that'll keep the line from spinning too much, and it actually helps your spinner to spin more. Some people don't even put on a swivel, and you don't really need one, but I find that it does help the lure to work way better in the water. So the knot that I'm going to be using here is, I believe it's called a 6-turn grinner knot, sorry. So what you do is you put your line through your swivel, you pinch your line here, you just wrap the line around 6 times, 4, 5, 6. What I do there is I lick the line to wet it, to moisten it so that you don't snap off. Then I pass the tag end that I'm after doing there back through the loop. I usually grab it with my mouth and I pull that tight, the tag end tight. So there we have it. You pull the knot in down on itself. You want your tag end to be coming off there at an angle. At the end we're going to be checking the knots, give it a little pull. If it's not good enough, you tie it again. But if you do this right, you'll never break any lines and you won't lose any lures. So that's all done. That's my swivel tied on. So from there, what I use is a thing called a leader. So what the leader does is it spreads out your swivel, your main line from your lure. You can use a thing called fluorocarbon, which is invisible underwater apparently, so the trout can't see it too well, and it's also a bit more abrasive resistant against the rocks, so that your line won't snap when you're spinning over rocks. It'll have a bit more of a resistance against that. So I usually use about 50 centimeters, which is there, of say 6-pound fluorocarbon, and it always does the job here on the rivers. Maxima is a good brand, Seagar is another good brand, but you can use anything at all. You don't even need to use it, it's more so the fine-tuning part of it. So the same knot again to tie the leader to your swivel. 6 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moisten the knot. Put it down on itself. And there you go. Perfect. So what we have here is, we have our little leader done with a little tiny swivel. And what we're going to attach onto here is a spinner. Because you're beginners watching these videos, or maybe you're experts, I don't mind. I'm going to show you the easiest way to catch fish. This is a beginner's fishing video, how to get out set up and how to get down fishing for a trout on the river. I want you to catch some fish basically. So what we're going to tie on here is a lure called a Mepps. So I use spinners called a Mepps Comet or a Mepps Aglia. I find, for me anyway, I prefer the Comet. It's a little bit heavier, spins a little bit better. So I'm using a golden blade because we've had rain during the week and gold stands out better in coloured water. A lot of people like the silver blade. I have them here in the box as well, but gold always does well. So we're going to tie that on here. Now you'll notice that I'm not using a snap when I'm using a spinner. The reason for that is they actually spin better when you don't put a snap to a spinner. So I have my swivel up from the line and I tie my spinner directly to my leader. I always do that when I'm using spinners. If I'm using a wobbler or a twitch bait, the little ripadas or the little Ryuki spearheads, I put on a little snap because it's easier to change them. But with a spinner you usually keep it on. So the same knot. This knot is fairly bomb proof. Put your line through your Mepps. Twist it around 6 times. And then you pass your tag in back through the loop or through the hole. Grab it with your mouth, lick the knot so that you don't get any burn, any friction burn. You pull it tight, and then it should stand out at a 90-degree angle, and then you're all done. Simple as that, lads. Now look, there's loads of ways of doing this, million knots you can use. This is just an easy way to get started. I'm trying to show you as quickly as possible. And obviously when I'm doing it on camera I'm a bit slower than I am in real life because it's hard talking to the camera. So that's it, lads. The rod is fully set up from there. From there you can just keep your spinner on your spool or wherever you want. We're ready to go with that setup. That's the Bixlite Mikado setup from wildhunter.ie. You can call into Wildhunter in Athlone or go on wildhunter.ie. Just search on Google, you'll find these rods. They'll be back in stock next week. There's probably a few there at the minute. And that's all you need to get started, lads. So from there I'm actually going to show you a few lures that we're going to use later on in the video, or maybe we want to stick with the spinner depending on the conditions. The lads in Wildhunter have a load of lures in stock at a really good price. They're called Duo Ryuki spearheads. I use the smaller sizes on the river, so from 38mm, 45mm, 50mm, 60mm I use on the river, and the bigger ones 70, 80 I use out in the lake for the trout, and they catch me so many fish. So if I'm using wobblers or twitch baits, I use the Ryuki spearhead. There's one of the major craft Eden Minnow lures as well. They're all only about 11 or 12 euro, which is really good price compared to other shops. And here's actually one of the Mikado lures. They do their own little twitch bait, and that's only 8 euros. So you can use all the lures in the world, lads. I have a box of spinners. Usually spinners never fail you. Keep them in my backpack. What I have in my backpack here is I'm using waders as well. They're kinetic waders, chest waders, they're only 50 euros. So if you're looking to get into fishing, pair of waders, really easy to use. Don't forget your sunglasses, it protects you from the UV rays of the sun. Also if you're casting, you're pulling the lure back into a branch, you want to protect your eyes, you don't want to get any hooks in your eyes. So I keep a landing net, it's a rubber mesh landing net on my back. It's only a shallow little net, I use it to net the fish. Don't forget to wet the hands if you're doing catch and release. And if you are doing catch and release, you can crush down the barbs on the spinner. I have the barbs already crushed on that spinner. What you do is you just crush it down with the pliers. You squeeze them down. If you intend on releasing the fish, if you're going fishing for your dinner, don't crush down the barbs. It's as simple as that, because they won't be able to wriggle off. But if you crush down the barbs, the fish often wriggle off in the net, they'll release themselves. So because I'm all catch and release, I crush down the barbs when I'm fishing on the rivers. Sometimes when I'm out in the lake, if I'm fishing for the bigger trout, you don't need to bother crushing down the barbs or that, because the bigger trout will make absolute mincemeat out of small hooks regardless of what you're using. So you kind of have to treat them with a bit more respect. They're really, really strong fish. The bigger trout out in the lake, like the ferox, they have mouths and gums on them that are just like steel wool, or you know, steel, really hard, so you don't need to worry too much about them coming off. So yeah, let's get down fishing. This is going to be a long enough video. I want to show you catching a few fish. That's how to set up the rod, lads. That's where to buy the rod. It's an absolute bargain at that price. Like I said, I'm going to put this stuff back in my backpack. Let's get fishing. Right, so you're down at the river. We had a bit of rain during the week, so the river is slightly coloured. It is in perfect condition for spinning, and for that reason I'm going to stick with the MEPS for the start. But if the river gets a bit deeper as we go along, you put on the wobblers. They work really well in a slightly deeper water, like the Reiki spearheads. So I always work upstream. I'm always casting upstream on the way up, because the fish are always facing up into the current, and you don't want to be spooking them. So if you come up behind them, they won't even see you. They're always facing upstream. You can get up quite close to them, flick the spinner out in front of them, bring it past their face. You'll get a thing called a reaction strike. 9 times out of 10, the trout are really predatory. They'll attack anything that they can fit into their mouth on a river, and that's why spinners work really well. So the fish will always be facing upstream. If you can target the back of boulders, any sort of a rock in the current, the trout will just be sitting under that, resting, and he'll lip out left and right to feed. That's the way they feed usually in the rivers, or in underneath any of the overhanging bushes. They'll kind of school up there. That's where they'll feed, at the back of all the bubble lines. You can see here there's a few bubble lines in underneath the far bushes. There's a few overhanging branches. That's the fun thing about trout, lads. They can be absolutely everywhere. So that's a lot of talking. Let's do a bit of fishing. Don't forget to hit that like button if you learned anything at all so far. Thanks, lads. Yeah, there's a trout. Now, he's after unhooking himself in the net. First trout with the Mikado Bixlite. What we do here is we wet the hand so you don't wipe off his slime. Take out the wild brown trout. Look at the spots on that beauty, red and black. We don't keep him out of the water for long. We just drop him back here and away he goes. So it's as simple as that, lads. Get out and give it a go. I'll go up and try to catch a few more, but that's the basics of it. Always working upstream, keeping in contact with the spinner, bring them straight into the net. As you see there, when you crush down the barbs on the hooks, the fish release themselves. And it's as simple as wetting the hands, lifting them out. So let's keep fishing. Yeah, there's a trout. What we do here, oh, that's the thing with the barbless hooks, they shake themselves off. There's another one for the Bixlite. Let's keep going. Yeah, it's a nice trout. Now, this is a beautiful looking fish. Get him unhooked. Saying that, he literally just unhooked himself. Wet the hand. This is a beautiful looking fish. Look at him. These are really wild stream trout. These will give you hours of enjoyment. Drop him back here. See you, dude. Oh, good stuff. Another one for the Bixlite. It's a nice rod. Like, you can tell by the drag of the reel that it's not the most expensive reel, but look, it gets the job done for 35 euros. Mad. And the rod is really nice. The rod, I can't fault at all. Absolutely brilliant. Let's keep going. Yeah, there's a trout. Big trout. Oh, I can't believe he took that. So I just dropped it at the side of the pool where I thought there'd be a fish. Just dropped it, didn't even move it, and he took it. Really nice trout. Let's get him unhooked. Fish there on the Bixlite rod. Budget friendly option. Beautiful trout. Good stuff. Now, so we've a few small trout caught so far. Beautiful fish for this little river. Wild fishing, you don't know what you're going to come across, but they're absolutely pristine fish. All catch and release as we're going along. But this little rod is doing the job. Absolutely ridiculous value for 36 euros. The reel is doing absolutely fine as well. That light line suits the river. You don't need anything heavier than that. So we're going to keep going up. Maybe we'll get a few more fish. But make sure you hit the like button if you're enjoying the video so far. So lads. Oh, nice one. Shane. Come again. Now so, I'm going to wrap it up there. I had countless fish there for the last 2 hours. Really good fun. The trout are really active. But I just wanted to show you an alternative budget fishing option for lads that are, you know, on a budget. Money doesn't come by easily these days. So if you only have a few quid, this is definitely a good setup to go for. You can pick it up in Wild Hunter. Like I said, there's a few in the shop at the minute and there's more coming in next week. But for that value, like the rod is 36 euros and I think the reel is like 30 euros. It comes with line. Just buy a spinner. You have hours of enjoyment on the river. Like I'm only here for the last 2 hours and well over 20 fish, you know, good crack, all catch and release, all small fish, but it's all a good way for beginners to get into fishing. Stuff like this is where I grew up fishing. You learn a lot when you're on rivers like this. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video lads. Leave a like if you did. I really appreciate if you watched to this point of the video. Fair play if you did. Drop a comment, actually let me know if you did, if you watched this far. I know it can get a bit repetitive after the first few fish, but look, we have to show a bit of action. But yeah, thanks for watching lads. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment. We'll catch you out here next time. See you later.